Alrighty, here we are with the next installment of the Fortuna build. We've got a few little things that we've done already, but I'm just going to run through you guys with those accessories that I've added and why, just to give you a guide on the product itself and why I've chosen it myself. So let's get into it. So the first thing I've gone and added is a UHF. Now I've gone with a GME XRS 330, and I'll get into why I've picked this one in a sec, but in general, a UHF is a necessity when building a vehicle for traveling or touring, in my opinion. Now, the first one being is for when you're traveling with others in a convoy, just being able to communicate clearly and cleanly with the other vehicles in your group, whether you're on the tracks or just traveling in general, is perfect. The second one being is when you're on highways and just main roads and communicating with truckies and other vehicles when it comes to overtaking is definitely a helpful device to have when needing to do that. So the other thing is solo travel, which is a lot what I do. Now, you might not be traveling with someone, of course, and a UHF can still come in handy. So unless you're super remote and there's definitely no one else around, generally you may be able to get connection with someone through a UHF. So when it comes to an emergency or something's gone wrong, having that as a helping hand can definitely come in handy. So why did I pick the GME XRS 330? Now the first one being specifically is more GME based in general. They're Australian made, they're just a known brand that's known to work when it needs to. I've used them in previous vehicles before and absolutely had no dramas whatsoever. So that's just the simplicity reason in general. Second thing, and sort of the reason why I chose the XRS series, is because of the handpiece itself. Having all the controls in the handpiece right there, easy access, is perfect in my opinion. Saves any hassle of reaching over to control another console itself. The reason I chose a 330 over the 370 or the 390 purely came down to the console, the unit itself. This is so small and lightweight, which means it's perfect to be able to get tucked in behind the dash, pretty well mounted anywhere. Now I've got this mounted in behind the glove box itself, just with some Velcro adhesive on here, and there's a plate under there which I'm showing you now, and it's just Velcroed in there. That way this unit can just be pulled off, and I can get to the cords behind if need be, and then just Velcro it back on. And so far it's been sticking and staying perfectly there, and no problems whatsoever. Now the XRS also has a smartphone app which allows you to customize the handpiece and some of the buttons and the setup just in general to what your needs are. I haven't gone into it in too much detail. The main thing I've done is created this top button to be a replay button, because we all know when someone says something, you might not hear it the first time because you've got music on or something like that. So being able to have that replay button and hear it again without having to say, what was that? Is super handy. When it comes to the mounting system of the XRS, with a 330, it only comes with the good old slot-in, clip-in ones. The 370, which I had in the van, comes with a magnetic mount. So I opted for the magnetic mount on this. It's a much better design, and I wish they just kept it standard for the 330 as well. Basically, this is magnetic on the back of the handle itself, and then a magnetic device. It's nice and strong, so it's not just getting knocked off nice and easily, but it's just so much easier to be able to clip in and off. So yeah, I've made sure I've added that option as well. Now where I'm mounting the UHF is just a little bit of a ram mount that I've made up. So we've just got a base with a 1-inch ball, a short extension, and then a ball with an M6 mount, so screw thread. So basically just in the back of the GME, just drilled a hole for the bolt to go through, which goes directly into the ram head. And I think that's just a perfect little spot for it to be. Speakers facing right towards me, nice and easy to hear as well. And just pick it up and grab, everything's out the way too. Especially with the last little addition of the change of position of basically the input for the handle, just back to the center console out here. Nice little spot, wraps around the handbrake and doesn't get in the way whatsoever. Now pairing up with the UHF inside, we have got an antenna as well, of course. So we got the 2.1 dBi GME here. Now I've gone with the pack, the 2.1 and the 6.6. Currently, because I don't have anywhere else to mount it, I'm not too sure if I actually do want to mount it on the front of the bull bar or not, just because it being in the line of sight, I don't know whether that's going to be annoying or not. I've mounted it with the K-on bonnet mount hinge. Keeps it nice and tucked away, and surprisingly, where you are, where it is when you're driving, you hardly notice it unless you've got the sun position from the side here, which causes a slight shadow on the windscreen. But other than that, you kind of forget it's in there. So it's a super simple design, which is what I like about this. It's just using the exact same bolts as the hinge itself. And then, yeah, it pops up through the gap where it is, and there's your aerial mounted nice and out of the way. Next thing on the list were seat covers. Now, seat covers were something I definitely wanted in the car to protect the seats. Being my first new car, I wanted to protect as much as possible and keep it in good nick for the next person who may own this vehicle. So basically, there was a few things that I really wanted in the seat covers, and the Black Duck 4ELEMNTS seemed to tick them all. So the first thing that I wanted was a rugged and durable seat cover. Hard wearing, something that is going to deal with me jumping in and out of the car, whether I'm dirty, wet, or whatever. The next thing was how it dealt with water. I love being in the ocean. Having wet boardies and jumping back in a vehicle is something that I do quite regularly. So how it dealt with water was a big thing for me. The next thing, of course, is feel. Of course, you want a rugged protective seat cover that's going to protect the seats underneath, but you also want it to feel nice still. Whether you're in longs and you can't really feel it, but when you are in shorts and stuff, you want it to feel nice on the skin. Now, this is sort of like a soft denim feel, so it just feels like wearing a nice soft pair of jeans. So that in general, I love it as well. In terms of the fit, I'm very happy with how they fit as well. Super snug. When you first put them on, they do need to take some time to settle, but as soon as they had some sun on them, they sit in the warm car, they adjust to the seat quite nicely. And yeah, once again, super wrapped with how they're looking on the vehicle itself. Now, I did actually think about a few other options. Now, neoprene seat covers are definitely a topic of discussion nowadays. A lot of people are getting them because they do fit really nicely, because they stretch and then they can sort of stick and fit really well on the seats. The downfall where I turned away from looking at neoprene seat covers is when I started thinking of a wetsuit, because that's what they are. They're a wetsuit material. Now, they're water resistant, but however, if you're sitting on them with wet boardies, it's going to basically soak in that moisture and water. And the problem with that is then how you get it out and how does it dry properly when it's in a vehicle, especially once you close it up, windows are up, there's sun in it. That's got to end up creating mold and starting to smell, which is not what I want in my car. I know it's a problem because I've had wetsuits where I forgot to take them out the car and they just start to stink and it's hard to get out. So that's sort of why I sticked away from the neoprene style and I went with the Black Ducks with the 4ELEMNTS instead, because they are that denim cloth on the outside, but they have a lining underneath to stop any moisture getting through. And yeah, the great all-round seat cover. The other benefit is they're machine washable. So if they do get dirty and filthy, pull them off, chuck them in the washing machine, hang them out to dry, and yeah, you're good to go and have some nice clean seat covers again. Now let's talk about comfort when it comes to driving the Fortuner. Now, it's an absolute dream compared to what I was used to in the van. However, the van had one thing that I absolutely missed when jumping into the Fortuner, and it was simply somewhere to put the elbow while driving. I had the one stone armrest for the 70 series that fit into the van with a little bit of modification as well, and absolutely a necessity in my opinion. So jumping into the Fortuner, having nowhere to put an elbow that sits nicely was a little bit of a pain in the butt. So one stone armrests did send these out to me because we wanted to test to see if they fit. So straight out of the box, they're a firmish foam, but it's still nice and comfortable to chuck the elbow on. It has some adhesive on the inside. However, they do fit with that adhesive, but in my opinion and from my testing, it didn't fit perfectly. So I've gone just to the Bunnings or any local other hardware store and just gotten some extra double-sided adhesive. I've chosen some outdoor ones, just Outdoors 1, to hopefully make it last longer and better in the heat. And so far, now with that extra added adhesive, they sit absolutely nicely. I've had 40-degree days and it has hasn't fallen off. So I'm pretty happy with how they are on there. When driving, just being able to have an elbow there, somewhere to support that arm and holding on the steering wheel, especially for those longer sort of trips and along roads where you just chuck the adaptive cruise on and go. It's made an absolute dream, and I would not know what to do without them. Another little addition is also this dash mat from Fit My Car. Now, it absolutely fits perfectly. I was very happy with the fitment of it. Just basically being able to protect the dash from any sunlight fading, but also be able to mount a Velcro storage pouch up the top there eventually too. I've also gone and upgraded my car mount as well. Now, I had a quad lock system before where the UHF sat, but I preferred where the UHF would be down there than up here, just because of where the cords were going to sit. So I've gone and bought the adhesive mount. For where it's sitting up here on this little pillar, it did need a little bit of snipping at the back there, but now it fits really nicely. It's a super strong hold because of this being such a flat, smooth finish. And I think the positioning of it from where you're driving is a great spot. Alrighty, so that is the newest additions to the Fortuner build. I hope you found this a little bit helpful, whether it's some of it, whether it's all of it, whether you're building a Fortuner yourself or a touring vehicle in general. I hope you found some decent information out of this. I'm super happy with all the products that have gone onto the vehicle so far, and this episode in particular. They're all little additions, but they all will go a long way once I hit the road and am touring, and are touring, whatever way it is. If you do have any questions about the products, feel free to drop a comment below, or send me a message on Instagram. Happy to get back to you regarding those things. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you want to continue to see the Fortuner get upgraded into a touring vehicle, and also some adventure videos in general. So yeah, super happy, keen for the next edition. That's going to be exciting because things on the outside are starting to happen. So yeah, keen for that. Keen for it to look a lot less like a soccer mum car, but maybe it's just going to be a pimped out soccer mum car. You'll have to wait and see. So we'll catch you in the next one.